To some people, video game boxes aren't a big deal. It's the last obstacle in your way between sticking in your cartridge, disc, or entering your download code into your gaming console to get your game up and running. Side note, what the hell is up with download codes in a game box? What's the point? Shit freaks me out. But to others like me, game boxes have an important and interesting history. Plus, some of them are just downright badass looking. Damn! So with that in mind, I decided to do a personal look back at game boxes from Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and Xbox consoles. Now I know I might miss out on some weird-ass boxes from other consoles. Remember though, these are my personal memories of what I either grew up with or learned about from my friends. So Retrospectives-Be-Damned? I'm gonna tell my story. Let's start off with Nintendo. At the beginning, Nintendo just used cardboard boxes to house their game cartridges. Some people didn't even see them as real game boxes and threw them away. My parents were some of those people. It wasn't until the N64 era that I put down my foot and said,
Mom, Dad, can I please keep my game boxes?
They let me keep a few, which you could see here. The N64 boxes were pretty cool in design. The front of the box had the basic information needed for the game. Title, rating, how many players, and whether it needed an expansion pack or whether it could use the Rumble pack. The left flap had the title of the game, and the right flap had an image about the game itself. I've been told by people that the proper way to open an N64 box is from the right side, because that's where the game cartridge can slide out from. I used to open them from the left side, and in effect, break the box. I even kept doing it after I knew about the right side idea. Yeah, I was a little OCD as a kid. On the back of the box, there were some screenshots of the game and a bulleted description of the game and its features. Jesus Christ, these were so uniform. What the fuck was up with the back of these N64 boxes having the same design? Is it just a coincidence that the 3 boxes I have are designed that way? Oh, thank God. That's the only good thing Castlevania 64 did for the N64. Break uniformity. Also, fuck the fact that the N64 is the only one that doesn't have end labels. Seriously, look at this. End labels? End labels? No end labels. It's stupid. I had to write them in. Seriously, look at this. I wrote them in. Moving on to the GameCube, we see Nintendo finally started using actual plastic cases. These were sort of like DVD cases, but had some differences, like this weird hole at the bottom of the box. What the hell is this? When you open it, it sort of looks like the spot where Blockbuster used to stick that plastic stick through, so you couldn't steal the game. But what the hell is it doing here? I never had any stick through any of the GameCube games I bought. But whatever. It also had a slot to stick your memory card in. I guess this was just in case you wanted to go to your friend's house and show off what you've been doing in your game. Can you imagine that?
Hey man, is it cool with your mom if I sleep over on Friday?
Yeah man, it's totally cool.
Awesome! I can't wait to bring over Metroid Prime with my memory card in the case and show you all the shit I've done!
That's okay man. I don't really want to be spoiled on a game I haven't played yet.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll just bring Super Smash Bros. Melee with my memory card in the case and show you my stats in the game.
I own Super Smash Bros. Melee. Just bring your memory card.
Okay.
I shot first. The fedora really worked out for me.
Playing with toys?
Get out, Beckham!
The back of the case would change in design, unlike the N64 game boxes, and would be different depending on the game. The upper left corner would have all the info you needed to know about the game, like number of players, how many blocks a memory card would use. You guys remember that? Memory blocks? If it supported progressive scan, and so on. Overall, the GameCube cases were pretty good. The Wii was basically a white DVD case. It was sturdy, didn't have any awkward holes to stick plastic things in, and was a pretty clear design. On the back of the box, things get kinda congested though. Look at all this shit! I know it wasn't like this on all of the boxes, but Jesus Christ! 3 different languages? All these damn warning stickers? Also, while I understand why the boxes were white, the Wii was white and they wanted the boxes to match, sometimes they would get really dirty. I mean, it's white. Just look at my Wii balance board. Moving on to the last bit of Nintendo packaging is the Wii U's case. I don't really have a whole lot of these since I've moved on to digital downloads on the Wii U, but overall it's pretty much the same case as the Wii's except it's blue. I really don't understand why it's blue. The system isn't blue, and the only blue color associated with the Wii U is the power light when the system is turned on. The back of the case is insanely better. It's no longer cluttered with different languages and warning stickers. Instead, everything is pushed down to the bottom. I personally don't care for the game controller and accessory information to be at the bottom of the box, but aside from that, and the color, I think the Wii U box isn't half bad. So now that we're done with Nintendo, let's move on to Sega! I never owned a Sega Master System, so I can't really give a personal opinion of how the boxes were, but judging from what I've seen, it's pretty much the same idea as the Sega Genesis boxes. Instead of having cardboard boxes like Nintendo, Sega got it right by having hard plastic cases. Parents weren't throwing that shit away. It looked authentic enough to keep, right? My only real complaint was on the design they had for the boxes. Not really my thing. Then again, I never really liked the Sega Master System anyway.
Perfect. Should I include that though? I think that might offend people. You know what? No. I've seen much worse things on the internet before. I'm sure people will be perfectly fine with this. I mean, they might get offended a little bit, but, you know, it's not going to be like a full-on epic, you know, flame war or anything like that.
The Genesis had a similar plastic box at first, with its own weird design. I like this one a bit better, though. Then they started doing whatever they wanted. The boxes started having so many different designs, which I'm all for, but look at what your shelf looks like. Sega did try to make another uniform design for the games, but then they dropped the plastic boxes and used these shitty cardboard boxes. Why move on from something that worked great and downgrade to something shitty? When Sega moved on to CD-based games, the game cases changed dramatically. But this is where I really don't understand Sega's design choices. In Japan, they had regular CD cases for the Saturn games. The manual was in the front, and the game fit nicely into the middle. Standard stuff for its time. And then this is what they gave us in America! These gigantic monstrosities! They're basically giant CD cases. Why do that? CD cases were the only cases I ever had trouble with. They broke all the time, if you dropped them they exploded on the ground, and then the CD would get damaged. So why would Sega make larger versions of them? Why? Also, when you would remove the disc from the case so many times, it would wear out the holders in the middle holding the game disc in place and would eventually fall out. Then it would scratch up the bottom of the CD and it wouldn't work anymore. All in all, these were the worst cases Sega ever made. Easily. In fact, I'd argue they're one of the worst video game cases ever made. Moving on to the Dreamcast, Sega was smart and decided to keep it all simple with smaller cases. It was fine for its time, until the PS2 brought out DVD cases a year later, but we'll get to that in a minute. The Dreamcast had all the cases look white, which, like the Wii, made complete sense. The system was white, and so the cases should be white. But then, for some reason, during its second year of being a system, they started making the cases black. I remember as a kid I went to buy Shenmue for the Dreamcast and thought I had the wrong game for a second. I never heard anything on the internet about Sega changing the cases from white to black, it just sort of happened. Which, again, made things look so weird on the shelf. I used to confuse them for PlayStation games. I read online that it was just a rebranding and nothing special from that. I also read that some people thought Sega knew the Dreamcast was dying and wore all black. That's pretty funny. I also heard about the Sega All-Stars boxes having orange labels. Oh god. Sega always tried to keep things fresh with their boxes, but really started losing it near the end. All in all, not that bad. Except for that Sega Saturn bullshit. Moving on to PlayStation, things were pretty nice. Except at the beginning. Sony pulled a Sega Saturn and had these huge cases! I remember my friends complaining that they always broke on them. And the only one I had, of course, is completely messed up. I do think they look cool. They have a nice 90s retro feel to it. Practically though, it's fucking terrible. Eventually, Sony changed the cases to be the standard CD ones, with all the good and bad from it, and used that for the rest of the PlayStation 1 games. At least they didn't wait until an entirely new gaming generation to do it. Then Sony did something that no one else was doing. They decided to make PS2 cases DVD cases, and it was awesome! The discs were held nicely inside, the case was durable and could survive a drop, and everything stayed the same for the entire generation. The boxes weren't changing into a different color during the PS2's run as a console, and the design remained the same as well. It was perfect. These DVD boxes were awesome. The only real complaint I have was that they were big cases. I was so used to CD cases at the time that having to switch to DVD cases made for some awkward shelf arrangements.
But I don't need any more space. I can't afford any more space. Can't you start a new row just for you DVD cases? You guys could do it. You're strong enough. You don't break after falling 1 foot high. I don't make the rules. Move over, bro.
PlayStation 3 continued the tradition of using the same case of the media format the system was using. In this case, modified Blu-ray cases were the housing grounds of PS3 games. They were pretty good, and finally took care of that complaint I had about DVD cases being big. Later on, Sony changed the casing around to look more sleek. I guess the Spider-Man 3 font wasn't really working out. This made the shelves again look a bit weird, but at this point we all expect that from game companies. Also, what the fuck is up with this DualShock compatible symbol? I know bringing back Rumble was a huge deal for PlayStation, but why the fuck showcase it so much? I remember it being on some game boxes for years after the change. Jeez! The PS4 just came out, but it seems like the game cases are heading in the right direction. They feel lighter, they're thinner, and they have a blue coloring to the case. Kind of a weird color choice for the system, but I guess they were trying to differentiate themselves from Xbox One. Other than the color, PS4 has it right so far. Definitely keeping an eye on this one. Moving to the Xbox family, you'll notice things were always green. Xbox cases had this deep green coloring that I always found colorful, but awkward. The design was nice though, never really got in the way of things, and the back of the box always made it clear on what features the game you owned had. All in all, I really liked the Xbox game cases. It got the job done, but it did make you feel like the cases were made for the Incredible Hulk shit. The Xbox 360 went fucking neon green! Jesus Christ! I thought the Xbox was too green, and now this makes it look way better. The back was still understandable and let you know what you needed to know about the game's features in relation to the console. They later on changed the top logo on the front of the box a little bit. Not too much of a change, and it looked better anyway. Also, unlike Sony, it didn't fuck things up for collectors' shelves and drawers. Things looked the same and not different and lacking in theme with the other boxes. And now we come to the newly released Xbox One game cases. Now I have a major fucking problem with these cases. Really major problem. But first let's look at the outside. Looks nice, right? Nice logo at the top, high quality to it. The green coloring is no longer neon nuclear green, and it went back to a more subtle color tone. The back continues the nice explanation on what features this game has in relation to the console. So far really nice, right? Nothing wrong with the case at all, right? Well, let's look at one last thing. Let's look at the inside of the case. What? It's on the left? It's on the left? Why would Microsoft put the disc on the left? What's the reason for it? I don't see any logical reason, other than being an asshole, for putting it on the left. I looked online to see if there were any answers. There were none. Just people like me complaining on how fucking stupid this is. When I first tried to take it out, it just felt wrong. And even over a month of the system being out, it still feels wrong.
I really feel like the designers of the game case thought that they had improved so much from the Xbox 360 case that they sat around thinking, what can we fuck up next? What can we fuck up next? And they went balls deep. I really have nothing else to say about this. I mean, it ruins a perfectly good gaming case. I just hope that maybe in the near future Microsoft decides to put the game disc back on this side. I mean, maybe for the next wave of games? Like, maybe immediately?
So there you have it, a look at all of the game cases I know about from Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, and Xbox. I've always been fascinated in game case designs. It's one of the new things to look forward to when a new system pops up. It's also one of the things to dread nowadays with all the rebranding these consoles do.
With all that being said, I know there are plenty of other game cases I didn't even go over, or touch, or anything like that, like the handheld game cases. Maybe another video. But I really just wanted to go over the game cases that I grew up with and some of the newer stuff that's came out. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and be on the lookout for more RBD videos. They are going to be coming a lot more frequently, hopefully, fingers crossed. But anyway guys, until next time, Retrospectives-Be-Damned, I'm telling my story. Yeah!